Somewhere in America right now, a quail farmer is watching their egg production drop in half and can't figure out why. No sick birds, no disease, no missing feed, just fewer eggs, lethargic birds, and quiet pens. It's not a virus. It's the temperature outside. Once it hits 28 degrees Celsius, 82 degrees Fahrenheit, Coturnix quail start going sideways. Reduced feed intake, weaker immunity, worse egg quality. Most backyard farmers don't catch it until the damage is done. 7 hacks today, most of them free. Let's get into it. Before the fixes, one thing. Quail cannot sweat, not a little, zero. They regulate body temperature entirely through panting and holding their wings out to move air across their skin. Mild heat, that works fine. When it climbs into the 90s, panting isn't enough. The bird starts diverting energy away from egg production just to keep its core. Temperature stable, fewer eggs, oxidative stress, weaker immune system, and in bad cases, death. The silver lining, Coturnix are actually more heat tolerant than chickens. Farmers in Texas run them through weeks above 100 degrees Fahrenheit with the right setup. Shade, cool, water, airflow. The word setup is doing a lot of work there. Everything in this video is about building that environment before the heat arrives, not scrambling once your birds are already struggling. 7 warning signs heat stress has started. Open beak panting, wings held away from the body. Lethargy, birds bunched into shaded corners. Dropping egg production, thin or soft eggshells, reduced appetite. 3 or more of those and your birds need help today, not tomorrow. This costs nothing and almost nobody thinks about it. Which direction your cage faces determines how much direct sun hits it through the day. West is the worst. A west-facing setup gets full afternoon sun from noon to sunset, the hottest part of the day, and that wire cage turns into a radiator. Even with a breeze, the air inside cooks. If you can reorient, block afternoon sun with trees, a tarp, or shade cloth. If you can't move the cage, drape a light-colored or reflective tarp over the top and the west-facing side. Skip metal roofs and dark surfaces. They hold heat and drive the interior temperature up. A white tarp over a wire cage can drop the inside temperature 10 degrees on a still afternoon. That gap matters. It's the difference between a bird that's uncomfortable and one that's dying. One thing that trips people up: ventilation still has to move horizontally through the sides. The tarp blocks heat from above. It doesn't replace airflow. Never wrap a cage completely. This one's popular for a reason. It works, it's free after the first use, and it doesn't need a power outlet. Fill 1 or 2-liter plastic bottles with water and freeze them overnight. Place them inside the cage so birds can hang near them and feel the cooler air coming off the surface. As the ice melts through the afternoon, it creates a cool zone. One thing to watch: don't lay flat frozen bottles on the cage floor where birds have to stand directly on them. Their feet don't regulate body temperature, and prolonged ice contact can cause damage. Stand them upright or prop them against the wire so birds choose how close to get. Bigger pens freeze water in wide, shallow containers. Plastic food. Storage bins work well, and spread them around so every bird has access. Rotate fresh ones in each morning. Add ice to their drinking water every morning too. Heat makes quail drink a lot more, and warm water makes them drink less, which just accelerates the problem. Cold water keeps them drinking. 2 refills a day minimum in peak heat. Shade without airflow is a trap. Perfect shade on a still, humid day and you'll still lose birds because the air sitting around them is just hot. Stagnant air during heat waves is one of the main killers. Cross ventilation, air entering from one side and exiting the other, makes a real difference. One-sided openings don't work. The air just builds up. Walk around your pen and hold your hand at bird level. Feel anything moving. Through, if not, you have a problem. Remove whatever's blocking the sides. Solid panels, burlap, stacked gear, wire walls. On at least two opposite sides are the baseline. No natural breeze, backyard with no wind, garage setup. A box fan pointed across the cage is probably the highest impact thing you can spend money on. It doesn't need to be cold air. Moving air alone helps birds cool themselves through panting. That's genuinely all it takes. What you feed and when you feed matters more in summer than most people realize. During heat waves, feed in the early morning or late evening. Avoid heavy grains like corn during peak heat. Digesting carbohydrates generates body heat. Feed them when it's cool and they get the fuel without the internal heat load in the worst part of the day. Cold treats pull double duty: chilled cucumber, cold watermelon, frozen blueberries. High water content, mild cooling effect, extended hydration. Freeze them in a shallow tray with a little water and drop the whole block into the pen around noon. They'll work at it all afternoon. This is the one that makes the real difference during heat waves. Heavy panting burns through electrolytes. Sodium, potassium bicarbonate, faster than plain water replaces them. The bird drinks more, but the mineral balance is still off. That's where lethargy, appetite loss, egg problems, and in bad cases, organ failure come from. Homemade electrolytes per gallon of cool water: 1 tablespoon white sugar, 1 teaspoon baking soda, 1 teaspoon salt, 1/2 teaspoon potassium chloride. Sold as salt substitute. Skip it if you don't have it, the recipe still works. Stir until dissolved. Sugar for quick energy, salt to help with fluid retention, baking soda to rebalance pH. Practical tip: mix the dry ingredients ahead of time and keep them in a jar labeled summer electrolytes in your feed room. When a heat wave hits, you scoop and mix rather than scrambling for ingredients while your birds are already struggling. Don't add apple cider vinegar to drinking water during heat waves. It acidifies the water and cuts calcium absorption, which matters a lot when laying hens need calcium for eggshells. Poultry vets flag this one regularly. Save the ACV for fall. Baking soda is what you want in summer. Offer the electrolyte mix for half a day, at a time alongside plain water. Don't run it continuously for more than a week. Pedialyte diluted in water works in a pinch. Everyone knows quail love dust baths. What's less obvious is that it's also how they cool down, not just how they clean. They push cool soil against their skin and conduct heat away from the body. A shaded dust bath is one of the cheapest passive cooling tools you can offer. Container, soil, or peat moss placed in the shadiest corner. On very hot days, mist the material lightly. Damp soil conducts heat away faster than dry. Don't soak it, just a light mist. Birds in wire cages off the ground have no access to any of this. A shallow tub of soil inside the cage fixes that. Put it in on a hot day and watch how fast they use it. Not a product, not a technique, just a habit. Heat stress kills slowly and quietly. By the time a bird is visibly in distress, it's usually been suffering for hours. The farmers who catch it early are the ones who show up at the right time. Morning before 8 a.m. Is the water cold? Refill, add ice, pull any feed that's spoiled overnight. Quick visual on every bird, panting, wings out. Anyone sitting alone? Afternoon, 2 to 4 p.m. Frozen bottles still in the pen or melted out. Tarp still covering the afternoon sun. Water still available. Evening, electrolytes if it was a brutal day. Refill feed. Anyone looking off? 5 minutes. That's it. The afternoon check is the one that prevents losses. 2 to 4 p.m. is peak heat, and most people aren't watching their pens then. Quick version: face your cage away from afternoon sun. Cover the top with a light tarp. Freeze bottles every night, and swap them every morning. Check that air is actually moving through at bird level. Feed early, Keep electrolyte ingredients. On the shelf, give them a shaded dust bath. Check at 3 p.m., under $5 to set up. Which hack are you starting with? Drop it below. I read all of them. Subscribe for weekly quail content, and I'll catch you next time.